Indeed.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Championship Cup Losers Final Idiots versus Please Love. I am your host, Pyro Cheese, here joined by the one and only Dusty.
Hello.
Hello. So we're going to be casting these matches today. Hopefully a best of 5 we're going to be having today against these two matchups. So quick notes right off the top of my head, off the top of the head. This is going to be my first time actually hosting this Rumble tournament, so please be a little bit patient while there may be a little bit of technical difficulties or a little bit of delays, just because I'm kind of, I'm the man behind the curtain today, and it's gonna be my first time in the position today. So hopefully things go smoothly, but like I said, please have a little bit more patience than usual. It's not Pillow who does this normally, it's gonna be me today. But with that being said, are you excited for today's matches, Dusty?
Oh, absolutely. They might be the losers finals, but still two very good teams, and I'm looking forward to this.
No, yeah, absolutely. Everyone in this tournament is absolutely worth being here, and definitely something to be looking out for, no matter who they are. But with that, do you want to just go ahead and jump right in?
Absolutely. Are we going to be taking a look at the draft screen then?
Yes, we are. We're actually already there. So why don't you go ahead and take us through this?
All right. Well, Please Love drafting Rocket, Skoldier, and Durple with idiots on Dizzy, Ksenia, and Rocco. The bans being Genji, Scree, Swiggins, and Yuri. A little surprised to see Rocket in here, usually an auto ban, but it'll certainly be interesting to see how that plays out. What do you think of the two comps, though?
I think it's a definitely kind of a difference between mobility and a lot of being able to kind of trap people, hopefully. Durple is going to be on this map. Agalon is kind of one of his favorites, being able to drop through platforms, just being able to cut off a lot of those alleyways that a lot of the times are really necessary just for mobility in general. So that, on top of there being a Rocket in this match, Rocket, and historically speaking, has generally been some kind of an autoban. So that is going to be kind of interesting to see how he plays out. That being said, we do have a lot of mobility coming out from the blue side as well. Dizzy, classic for just being incredibly mobile, as well as, being invisible Ksenia, and Rocco with his ability to slow. There is a potential for some interesting team fights to be going on for sure.
Yeah, definitely going to be very interesting. Very slippery team idiots that we have. Please Love, though, might be able to catch them between slow and trap. We'll have to see how that plays out. But definitely two very different playstyles. Displacement versus mobility.
No, yeah, definitely. So, just as another note as well, today the matches are actually playing live, so technically this match is taking place as we speak. It is not done yet, or at least I hope it's not done yet, to make for a more interesting match. So we're going to be casting these things effectively live. They have gone underway, so let's go ahead, and do you want to just go ahead and jump into the replays then?
Absolutely.
Alright, sure. So let's go ahead and make sure that I have this thing all set up, and then boom, transition to the gameplay screen. Bam, done. So far so good on this streaming setup. Things are going relatively smoothly. Let's go ahead and pull this up then. And just a couple other notes. Forgot to put up the stats thing.
No problem.
Just to make sure, we are at 38 seconds, and I cannot move that window, so that's going to be just stay there, I guess. Total solar. Alright, so we are going to be starting at the 38-second mark. Are you there, Dusty?
I absolutely am.
Alright, cool. So why don't you go ahead and count down for us?
Alright, starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
Alright, so on the blue side, we're going to have Ksenia as Badass Ketchup, Jorv going to be on their Dizzy, and Rocco going to be played by the Pillow. And on the red side, we're going to have Game is Broken on Durple, Skoldier being played by Love, and their Seb is going to be playing the Rockets. So, do you have any experience with these players and kind of like how they play on these certain characters?
In terms of watching these specific characters, not really. I've watched a little bit of Idiots, but I don't think I've seen many of them play on these specific characters, so I can't say that I have a lot of experience watching, seeing play styles, I suppose.
I see. I don't really have a
Myself.
ton of experience either, but Game is Broken is and Love very very well known for both their Skoldir and their Yuri. Yuri was actually a ban in this round, so that's why we're not seeing them today. But seeing Love on Skoldir, she's pretty comfortable with that. She was in last year's Skoldir Showdown, so I'm kind of expecting.
Ksenia getting pretty low. Oh,
Yeah,
and
ooh.
Love goes down instead.
That's going to be first blood right there in favor of the blue team, so Skoldir going to be taken out. A little bit of push going on top. But yeah, I'm kind of excited to see how everything plays out. First kills don't necessarily matter too much, pretty early in the game, so he's going to be coming back pretty soon.
Yeah, almost had a kill on that Ksenia though. A great throw, great trap, but blue team just collapsed on him, not able to get anything done there. Ksenia very low though, dropping in with that nuke. Does manage to get out of there. Basically just what Ksenia does in general.
Yeah.
Very, very mobile, very hard to catch.
No, yeah, absolutely. Especially for something as snare traps. You know, they're there, they're stationary. You can see where they are, but it's all about placement and being able to cut off their ability to be so mobile at the very least. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so a couple of first item picks. I always like talking about those. So we have double Medican coming out on Derpal, so some sustain on their side. Stun coming out on Skoldir. Ksenia getting really low right there, actually, almost
Very
going
much
down. Yeah, that's gonna be
Derpal with those dropping nukes.
Yeah.
Very potent.
absolutely. It's gonna be very very nasty on this map because even though there's a jump pad right there, you can just drop right through them, and you know a lot of times you're not expecting that, even in a competitive match. Personal experience, maybe letting me know that. But yeah, there's also going to be a rocket pack coming out on Rocco, which is going to increase the range of his arrows, his auto attack. So that's kind of interesting. I hardly see that being picked up, honestly, but I think he's going for a little bit more of a poke damage, especially on like some of these tanky characters. So, you know, maybe whittling them down. Yeah.
Yeah, very much a safer build, a little bit more of a push and harass type build. Against this team, I can certainly see it being very useful, especially with the Skoldir on the other team. You definitely want to make sure that you keep your distance. So a decent pickup. I can definitely see why he would do that.
Another consideration to have is, you know, in a perfect world, everything would have 0 ping. However, this is not a perfect world, so we do have most of the red team over in Russia, or at least in Europe, while the blue team is going to be pretty much all NA characters, players, I should say, if I remember correctly. So that might be another reason for the consideration on range, you know, playing a little bit safer, because, you know, the Skoldir throws might not be exactly where the Skoldir throws are, so you never know.
Oh, absolutely. Having played Skoldir quite a bit in the past, ping can hurt you or it can help you a whole lot, so I can certainly understand that.
Absolutely. That being said, everything is pretty calm right now. Jorv, the Dizzy, is going to be picking up the Invis, maybe looking for some kind of action right there. Not going to be getting it, unfortunately, but maybe something going to be happening here. Looks like a lot of basically safe plays, just trying to catch them off guard, maybe if there's going to be kind of a mistake to be had. Because, you know, 4.5 minutes in, only 1 kill. It's a pretty slow match so far, honestly. Not even a whole lot of push going on, per se.
No. Both teams just leveraging for space, trying to pick off anybody and just wait for mistakes, but mistakes don't come often at this level of play.
Yeah, as mentioned, this is the losers bracket final, but that being said, that doesn't mean that these teams are no pushovers, especially
Absolutely not.
yeah, especially because I know that these are some big names in the community, and so everyone has at least a little bit of pride on the line, but we're gonna see how everything turns out here.
Yeah, absolutely. And range on punch coming out for the Skoldir. Very much same thing maybe that you were talking about earlier, just helping out with that ping a little bit, and especially just helping him to engage on this very, very fast and mobile team. Might end up with a couple more kills.
Yeah.
Off of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely see that happening, especially on something like Dizzy, where you know any kind of like CC on her is vital, if not necessary. Just because,
absolutely.
Yeah, especially with lag considerations, a lot of the times you can stun them and the throw follow-up just doesn't land. So we'll see exactly how these kinds of things play out with, because like I said, ping is definitely something to be considerate for not only these players but also us as casters as well, to see how things are going to be affected. See, for instance, right there, he landed in the snare, but really wasn't affected until like a dash and a half later. But
yeah,
things like that are unfortunately going to be a reality that we have to consider. So, with that.
Yep, that is for certain.
So, I do want to point out also that there's going to be coming out on Ksenia slow on scissors, Occam's razor. So that's a pretty common upgrade in my opinion, but it is interesting to note again that it's about mobility, and slow on scissors definitely cuts it down a bit, 20% for a whole second. So, you know, especially if you're going up against like these tanks.
Big.
Ooh, right there, Durple
and
getting exceptionally low.
As well.
Yeah, actually, right there,
Yeah.
just a little bit more and it would have been enough. Maybe another scissor. I don't know if she had one available. Ooh, right there is going to be a pickoff on that Durple.
Goes down.
Yeah, trying to transition lanes right there. Unfortunately, getting cut out as well.
Maybe
Skoldir. Ooh, nice. So
Skoldir
Skoldir
goes
also
down
going down. Yeah, just barely in front of the turret there. So there's going to be a little bit of push on top. Rocket going to be left defending alone. But blue team also, Ksenia's the only one with full health. I was going to say the other two are relatively low health, going to be backing off a bit. But still, a double for nothing. That is going to be some free push for them. And ooh, all right. So,
great double kill.
Yeah, that was a pretty interesting double kill right there. You know, turrets can hurt you, by the way.
Yeah. Blue team maybe getting a bit too greedy, so
maybe just a touch. And here comes a counter push, basically. Now that they got on the bread side, they got a double for free. That's actually going to be the turret down for them. That is something else to consider as well. You know, the push difference is going to be interesting. Defensively, red side definitely has the advantage in that. You know, even with the double, they were only able to get like maybe half of a turret on each lane, while you know, in the same amount of time, red was able to get a full turret on top lane. So, you know, maybe something to consider for the future for the blue team, that, you know, consider turret damage maybe.
Absolutely, and I think a big problem that that has Ketchup going down during that, as well as game is broken.
Yeah, so a 1-for-1 trade with their Skoldir going low right now. Jorv right there, Dizzy is going to be able to get that. 2 for 2 so far, actually. So Rocket and Dizzy are going to be the lone survivors here. So it's going to be left Dizzy going to be clearing top with the big bot. And hopefully Rocket's not going to get too much of a push. These are probably two of the best clearing characters in the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, Dizzy for mobility and just straight damage on droids, and Rocket just because, I mean, he's Rocket. I don't know if I really need to say much more than that, frankly.
Not much. Badass Ketchup getting caught in a trap there, and a nuke, and he goes down.
It's going to be pretty simple, straightforward. Just snared, trapped, and nuked. Not much more to say about that, unfortunately, but that is going to make a bit of a level difference. Red team now looking at level 7 as opposed to blue team's level 6. Both at 5 kills, but with that turret down on the blue side, that does give red a bit of the map advantage as well as the level advantage. So we'll see.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So for now, things being cooled off a little bit, maybe backing off some, and so we're going to see if anything is going to be happening from there.
Yeah, and one thing I actually wanted to mention earlier that I saw, I think red team's push is actually probably something we're underrating even a little more, because blue team, even if they do get that advantage, they really can't push without droids because they are so squishy. Whereas red team, a lot of beefy characters, they can just stand there and take it. If they have the advantage, doesn't matter. They can just sit in turret for a good 10 or so seconds and just soak damage. I think that was one reason why they were able to take the first blue tower, while blue team wasn't really able to do much when they had the advantage.
Right, yeah, absolutely. A couple of upgrade picks I want to point out. There is going to be a slow on Durple's turret fire. I believe it's called, like, no, that's not what I was looking for. Sweet Syrup Bullets.
Sweet Syrup Bullets,
So, yeah, especially for, like, we're talking about these mobile characters coming out on the blue team. Any kind of CC against them is pretty vital, especially against, like, someone like Rocco. I mean, frankly, you're not going to be doing a whole lot to Dizzy, even with slow, but Rocco being able to, like, ignore his auto attack slowdown when he's in vengeance mode, is being able to slow something like that down is going to be pretty important.
Very powerful.
Another upgrade I did want to touch on is a Virtual Girl coming out on Ksenia, and that's going to give her invulnerability while she's in her dash mode going into invis. So that's going to be very useful, you know, obviously against Durple's nuke, but also just for some kind of escapability. Not going to give her CC immunity, so she's still going to be vulnerable to snares and such during that time, but, you know, being able to avoid damage, at least for that, like, quarter second, third of a second, however long the dash is still pretty damn important.
Oh, definitely. Definitely against a team like this.
Absolutely. So here we might see something shaping up here. Badass Ketchup going in with a bit Durple going in at about a quarter health. Badass Ketchup has to back off, nuke coming up, and that's going to be a Pillow taking that damage right there. Nothing too much from there. I think blue came out a little bit worse for wear. 2 on the red side are full health, and while blue side had to go back a bit. There's going to be some push going up on top, though. Not quite going to get the turret down, but there's only 2 bars left in the top turret, so hopefully if they keep this up, blue will actually be able to open up the red side and make a little bit of an advantage for themselves as well.
Yep, give themselves a little bit more room to breathe and maneuver. Something that their team especially needs to succeed and thrive.
Yeah, absolutely. So here we have a couple of things that I want to note, though. There is a bit of a solar dispersion between some of the characters, even on the red side alone. Something I like to point out. I like to have the total solar up on my screen. I don't know what kind of setup you've got going on, Dusty, but Durple has about 1,200 solar, while the Skolder total has only about 900, so 300 solar difference or so. That's going to be a little bit strange. On the red side, they both have the highest grossing solar as well as the lowest grossing solar characters. That's something kind of interesting to note, but that does go into the long game to see how that plays out.
Absolutely.
Speaking of solo, though, these guys do still have the capacity for a piggy late game at the very least, so it's something I don't see too often, but in this competitive scene, it's much more common than in normal queuing, so it's going to be interesting to see if anyone's going to be on their heels a little bit and looking for that kind of sweet last-minute in-a-pinch pick-me-up to see if they pick something up.
Yeah, just a little boost to get that one powerful upgrade they maybe need to finish their build. It's possible.
Yeah, definitely.
Other than that, we have teams just kind of bouncing off each other, playing a little bit of footsie knots and not really doing much. Dizzy picking up the stealth. We'll have to see if she's able to make anything work with that.
Yeah, there is going to be the potential for double stealth characters on the blue side. I never really mentioned that, but yeah, that capacity, you know, especially for someone from Ksenia, being able to silence them, you know, limiting mobility from someone as Rocket, who can just like blast away into Neverland, can be stopped at the very least, and then, you know, kind of pump out a lot of damage on him, especially for someone like Dizzy, who can deal out a lot of damage in a short amount of time. So hopefully we'll see something like that, but haven't seen anything quite like that just yet.
Not just yet. We'll have to see if that happens at a time later in the match. For now, though, both teams just kind of playing on their own side of the map. Just farming and pushing lanes where they can, which isn't much. Ksenia is going down, though.
Yeah, he is going to be going down right there, so that's going to be a 1-for-0 trade right now. Pill looking in a tough spot as well, just going to be getting out of there with like a sliver of health right there. Looking to maybe pick up some health and defend his bottom turret at the very least. He's going to be looking for that defense there. Love, the Skolder now has the invis. Going to be just using it to clear some droids. Skolder with invis on this map as well. With a Durple with potential for snare trap setup is kind of dangerous, but we didn't see anything coming out of that, at least that, unfortunately, so.
No, the push was probably a little more important at that time. They didn't manage to take the bottom turret, but it's getting pretty low. 3.5 bars.
No, yeah. All the turrets are, at least all the front turrets are getting pretty low. Like, for as much as we've mentioned that blue team is kind of suffering for their push, they are keeping it relatively even, at least, like, chipping away at it every opportunity that they get. You know, top turret is only looking at about 2 bars, bottom is only looking at about 4, so it's not like they're that behind in push. They are behind, but not by, like, that wide of a margin.
Absolutely. And that is one thing that blue team is able to take advantage of. With their mobility, they're able to go in, take a couple shots at the turret, and then duck out. Something that red team doesn't really have the opportunity for, that kind of turret harass.
Absolutely. We're going to be seeing a little bit more clearing of droids, going back, backing off a little bit. Not too much. More footsie knots going on more than anything else. Skolder looking for maybe a third punch with the range engagement, and seeing if he's going to be getting anything off of that. Yeah.
Yeah, not a whole lot happening at the moment. Possible fight at top. Low,
yeah, there's going to be a lot of damage on Skolder right there, almost going down.
Corrected.
Yeah, right? You never know what's going to happen in these kinds of matches. But yeah, Skolder needing to go back. And bottom turret on the blue side looking at about 3 bars. But yeah, overall, kind of getting a little bit more interesting now that we got some CC and kind of like damage upgrades. do want to ask something of you. I see Dizzy picking up. Ooh, there's gonna be badass ketchup right there going down because the Ksenia.
And a throw into the snare.
Yeah, that
Still
might be a
gonna go down
double
as
right there.
well? Yes, he is.
Yeah, he is right there. So it's gonna be Dizzy left alone on the blue side, defending against a 3-stack right there. So that's just bottom third gone. They didn't even bother to wait for droids or anything like that. All the tankiness, they don't have to deal with any of that. A throw right there on Dizzy actually, and he's gonna be able to get away, trying to do a little bit of clear and see how best he can defend these back turrets.
Yeah, not quite able to get me on that bottom turret. Dizzy doing a great job at zoning out the attackers.
No, yeah, that's also pretty good about Dizzy. Like, depending on what kind of upgrade she gets on her clone, there is that delay explosion as well, where she can do a pretty good job about zoning out enemy players. So we'll see exactly how things like that play out. But yeah, I did want to ask something. Going back to the thing I was talking about, like 2 minutes ago. What do you think about Wraithstone on this map? Ooh, wow. Well, before I go into that, it's gonna be Dizzy just going down right there, as well as the Derpal, just both taken out, in an instant it seemed. And Pill's gonna take that opportunity of a little bit of time to go ahead and take out their top turret. So things are looking a little bit better for the blue side on that exchange.
Yeah, quick 1-for-1, and blue team capitalizes on that, because then you're getting pretty low. But to answer your question, Wraithstone on this map, I personally like it, especially once the map fully opens up and you can start farming from your opponent's jungle as well. If given the opportunity, it can be extremely powerful, especially for the lower health characters like Dizzy, like Ksenia. I don't believe any of them have picked it up. We do have Dizzy picking it up.
Yep.
So yeah, I like that upgrade on her. I don't know if it negates the need for something like regen, which she obviously has, but it does give her huge HP swings, especially when fighting in those jungles. So personally, I like the upgrade a lot.
Yeah, depending on the circumstances, with her dash that can go right through enemies as well as damage creeps like that, she could swing a lot of her health into her advantage that way. So it's gonna be interesting to see if that's applicable at any point.
Yeah, definitely. Ksenia getting Derpal a bit low, but not able to capitalize on anything and getting out pretty safely. Once again, we're going back to just a little bit of positioning games. Both teams just kind of playing around each other, playing very safe for the moment.
Yep, pretty safe. I will say though, it seems like blue does have a little bit of an advantage in the map control area. Like it seems like red side is defending a little bit more often than they would like. Droids getting to their turrets and blue side sitting a little bit comfortably, a little bit more past mid. That does give them control of the Invis Orb whenever that comes up. So it could be a nice way to be positioning themselves. Speaking of which, I believe the Invis Orb came up, or not. Maybe just be hearing things.
I'm not seeing it, and I don't see anybody with Invis, so...
Alright, so I stand corrected. Just don't listen to me ever.
There the Invis Orbs picks up.
And
Ksenia picking that up, so she's got Invis for the next 20 or so seconds, and lands right in a snare trap.
Unfortunate, but there's going to be that. Nuke is going to be going off. Something else kind of interesting. I've played a little bit of competitive myself, or at least some high level, I guess, Don't want to toot my own horn too much, but they're playing some intense matches at the very least. So it is kind of interesting to have this kind of dynamic where even if you see an enemy using a big ability, like right there, Nuke was being used mostly to clear droids. A throw coming out on Skolder actually. 1 second, a Nuke coming out. Speaking of which, not too much actually. Nuke gonna be wasted right there. Pillow gonna get pretty dang low. And that's gonna be right there. Rocket with the cleanup, as well as blue trying to just get away. It seems. And take a little bit of damage on their way out, but that's going to be a 1-for-0 trade in favor of the red side. So hopefully they'll be able to pick up a little bit more of the map control that they were missing. Nuke going to be coming out right there as well. Not going to be hitting anything, unfortunately, so that's going to be that. But blue side is going to be getting a little bit more. Snare coming out a bit, and things are going to be going back to normal. Rocket picking up Invis as well, and he's just going to be getting out in that case.
Yeah, not a whole lot done with that, but he was able to escape from the Ksenia there. So valuable, at least in some way.
Yeah, absolutely. So blue side did seem to do a pretty good job of being able to defend their disadvantage with that 1 kill, so not too much loss. There is an entire level disadvantage to their name, though. Red side is going to be a full level ahead at level 12, and blue side is going to be at level 11. So, you know, that's another 5% damage, 5% health, I believe. So that kind of stuff does add up. And, you know, 5% damage, that's, you know, an entire upgrade on some characters. So
Pretty much, yeah.
that is going to be significant in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and it's really hard to tell exactly how these teams are doing. Very even in terms of turrets, but the level and the kills really do speak at least a little bit. 10 kills to 6, and a little more than a level up at this point in time.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead.
I mean, it is really hard to say at this point. Both teams basically just positioning, but you know, red team with that small advantage might be able to do something with it.
Yeah, potentially. I think right now a lot of the positioning comes down to who's able to harass better. As a blue side is able to just harass better. That's almost like what two of their characters are meant for, Dizzy as well as Rocco. Just being able to do a little bit of chip damage and making them a little bit less comfortable about going out and being, you know, vulnerable at that point. Being even, like, you know, down as little health as Zerpal is, that could still be pretty dangerous in the eyes of Dizzy and Ksenia. Right there, drop nuke coming out. Nothing going to be coming out of it. Maybe just a little bit of a scare tactic there. So I think it's going to be going back to a status quo.
Yeah, still just hanging out. Invis orb coming up. Dizzy, yep, Dizzy is going to take that and immediately use it. So, not going to be seeing any double Invis strats coming out of blue team.
Come on, guys, we gotta see something interesting with the Invis done, man. You just burn it on killing droids, or just use it immediately, walk into snare traps. Come on, man. We're trying to cast a tournament here. At least make it interesting for us. In all seriousness, no. Oh,
Badass Ketchup getting pretty low there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how worth those couple scissors on Scoldier was, but
yeah. It's gonna be looking at. I do want to point out though, everyone on the blue side does have a range upgrade of some sort. Again, kind of maybe lag consideration speaking for itself there. Ksenia with range on scissors, Rocco with range on AA. I believe Dizzy also got range on bubble shot. She did range and speed on that. So, you know, being a little bit more cautious, being a little bit more harass potential. So we'll see how those things kind of go out. Do want to also point out as Ksenia ate those snare traps. Ooh, that's going to be a couple punches right there. Snare and the Ksenia going down. And Invis is going to be picked up
low as well.
Pretty low. Rocket going to be Invis right there, seeing if there's going to be a quick pick-off. Nothing there, unfortunately. I think they know that Rocket's Invis, so they're not even going to really necessarily try anything there. It's going to be coming out there. Trying a little bit of harass. Bottom going to be taking quite a beating right here. See if Dizzy can do anything from behind. No, unfortunately. Nuke going off on the turret as well. That's about a quarter of the turret down just in that push right there. They didn't really have much droids either, so, you know, tanky characters, they can be dangerous when they're pushing. Dizzy's going to be entirely on the red side of the map. She's going to be dashing out, though. That's no problem for Dizzy, so.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Let's see if there's anything interesting going on. No, just I'm just kind of like curious at the builds going on. It's going to be kind of entering late game at this point. 24 minutes in, still the back turret's intact, mostly at the very least. So we're going to be seeing some of these late game upgrades. This is kind of where it gets a little bit more and more dangerous to Piggy. You know, you're not as comfortable with your build order, and if you are falling behind, for instance, like I said, the blue team still is a full level behind, but still maintaining their own. If they decided Piggy for whatever reason, they better make it worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of solar, I mean, Derpal's about 300 solar up on most of blue teams, 600 solar up on Ksenia. But, you know, Ksenia is still managing to be very dangerous with her own build. So I'm not sure how much that's playing in. Dizzy very low and gets a snare trap.
And thrown,
so
and right there,
down.
yeah, going down to the dot right there. That was a nice timing on the throw by this Scolder. Gonna be her going down there. So, you know, as far as kills go and kind of like overall levels, red team is in a pretty comfortable position. Oh, that's gonna be almost a rocket going down. Not quite enough damage on that arrow, unfortunately. Let's see, Scolder gonna be right there, caught up, being chased by the Rocco. Not gonna be enough right there though, unfortunately. So Derpal's gonna be defending for a bit right there, bottom. I do want to say though, I'm a little bit surprised that a red team isn't really trying to push their advantage that much. They do have a solar advantage overall. You know, Derpal is about 400 ahead of anyone on the the blue side, I should say. And they even have right now a 2-level advantage. You know, 10% damage, 10% health. That's pretty considerable. So it's not necessarily disappointing, but I'm a little bit surprised that either they're not super cognizant of that or not trying to push that advantage necessarily. But it is, you know, something to mention that it is definitely in their advantage to be trying something like that.
And I think a lot of it just comes down to their team's play style, playing back, playing defensively, and just taking advantage of poor positioning, getting throws, getting snares, and taking advantage of those. If they have those snares spread out along blue's side of the map, they can't always capitalize on those. So I think it's better for their team to be spreading those traps, spreading the advantage on their side of the field where they're more easily able to take advantage of those sorts of engagements.
Right.
So that might be kind of what they're thinking, and just hoping to get a couple of good engagements and push off of that as opposed to pushing out and trying to take a turret now.
Yeah. By the way, we saw Invis right there being wasted on clearing some droids again. Thank you very much for that, Mr. Pillow. Giving some nice actions for us casters to be talking about. But
absolutely,
yeah, it's
so many great strategies, so many opportunities.
Yeah,
and,
if only this was Serona, we'd be having a ball right now. That being said, we are going to be seeing some like end game upgrades at this point. You know, we see pills coming out, well, almost certainly one of the last utilities being picked up, as well as Barrier Mags coming out on both Derpal and Scolder, so they're going to be taking a little bit less damage overall because of that. And there's going to be a throw right there, Pillow going right there, perfect, that was awesome, right into the nuke, no hesitation right there. No invis needed for that one. And they're going to be just going at bottom. I don't know if they're going to necessarily be able to take it. Dizzy trying their best to do some area denial. And red team is going to be looking pretty low, actually. This could be pretty big for the blue team if they decide to push this. There's going to be a little bit right there. Ooh, badass catch-up going a little hard right there, unfortunately. The red team did have their abilities, but Rocket is going to be going down right there as well. Ooh, there's going to be Dizzy just getting away, actually. Snared, but just being able to get away. So, overall, kind of messy, kind of a long team fight. There was some turret damage done on bottom's blue. Blue's bottom turret, I should say. That's a little bit weird way of saying it. But, yeah, there's going to be a 1-for-1 trade, or 2-for-2 at the... It was like a 2-for-1. I don't know exactly what it was, honestly.
I believe that was, I do believe that was a 2-for-1 trade.
2-for-1, alright. So, a little bit of a disadvantage for the blue side, but, you know, again, just because they're at the disadvantage both in level and solar, you know, they're still being able to hold at least some of the map control. You were mentioning earlier about, like, the playstyle of red side. You are right. It just seems like based on comp and, you know, general playstyle, they are inherently doing things much more defensively, waiting for mistakes, trying to capitalize on those, and then kind of pushing their advantage once they actually do, you know, capitalize on those kinds of mistakes. Right there, Dizzy going to be going down right there to a snare and a quick reaction to make it a snared explosion with the nuke. So yeah, seeing if red team's going to be able to do something with that.
And we do see the gnome coming out on Scoldier as well, getting possibly a little bit more range and definitely a little bit more damage if he does manage to land those throws. And starting to push in on bottom turret right now is red team. All three of them there. Doesn't look like Rocco's gonna be able to defend this.
Yeah, that looks like it's gonna be blue down. Ooh, right there, teleporting a little bit ambitiously, gotta say, but they are trying to run away. Vengeance coming out. Does he have speed up on that? He does have speed up on that. So speed up during Vengeance is going to be pretty dangerous. That's going to be a wipe right there, actually.
That is a team wipe.
That is a team wipe. A wipe pipe in chat. I forgot to mention that at the top of the cast, but if you say wipe pipe, when there is a wipe happening, then you can get a cool skin. I'll be mentioning that as well a little bit more during the break. But for now, there's going to be a wipe right there. That gives blue access fully to the red base. This may or may not be the end, honestly, because it looks like a lot of damage coming out.
I don't know. Badass Ketchum going down, and Jordan Pillow about half health at this point.
They're going to be trying to get out of there. A lot of damage coming out of the Dizzy. He's less than a bar. Just needs something right there. Unfortunately, not going to be able to pull off that teleport or that kind of escape. Pretty close, though, but that is going to make it so that red base only looking at about 5 bars. So it looked like...
That is true, but at the same time, 2 members of blue team down for another 15, 20 seconds.
You are right. Yeah, open
It's a dangerous
blue
situation.
base. Yeah, only Rocket left to defend. Yeah, Rocket probably is their strongest defender, potentially. That or Dizzy, arguable, I would say. But you know, it is going to be tough to see this. They're going to be pushing in the red side. If they're going to be able to do anything right now, it should be right now. We're going to see something nice that's probably going to be deciding the game. Both teams are kind of really looking at this as a potential for their win. Pillow gonna be going right down right there. That's gonna be a double on the blue side, leaving Ksenia to defend alone. Ksenia definitely their worst defender, I'm gonna say. And that's gonna be a lot of push right there. A lot of damage coming out. Scolder going down, but also Ksenia going down, and that is going to be game 4. Love, please love. So game 1 going to please love.
Definitely a good game. Very, very much won by the positioning, won by great engagements, and just really picking their fights. Please love. Great playstyle. It worked, obviously.
No, yeah, I mean, it definitely did. With those kinds of things overall, the playstyle, you know, being a little bit defensive and being able to capitalize on those things. I know a lot of players would be a little bit irked by something like that, but at the end of the day, this is a competitive scene. You got to do what you got to do to win, and you know, Please Love was able to capitalize on all those things. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So yeah, so I'm just letting the kill cam reel go for now. Just get a little bit of recap on that. We're gonna be back with the next match hopefully soon. Like I said, please be a little bit more patient while it is my first time doing this, so we can get things set up for the stream. Might take a little bit longer than normal, just so you guys know. But with that, I'll go ahead and be letting this kill cam ream go, and we will see you at the other side of the break. Welcome back, everybody, to the Rumble Tournament's Championship Cup Losers Final. This is going to be game 2, potentially of 5, of Idiots versus Please Love. So, match 2. How did match 1 go, Dusty?
Please Love playing a very control-heavy game and managing to come out on top, mostly just because of a couple very, very good engagements.
Yeah.
And we'll have to see if Idiots are able to change anything up for this next match.
But,
are we looking at the draft then? Do you have that pulled up?
We are looking at the draft right now, so do you want to go ahead and take us through this in that case?
Absolutely. So, banned knots are going to be Yuri and Skoldir. Apparently, Idiots did not like playing against that Skoldir last game, and honestly, I can't blame them. Other bans are Deadlift and Rocket, this time being banned. And Idiots are going to be picking up Dizzy, Genji, and Nibs. Once again, playing a fairly mobile and harass-heavy team. And Please Love, again, playing what seems to be a very control and zone-heavy team with Sentry, Swiggins, and Max Focus. What do you think of these two compositions?
I think it's kind of interesting to see that both Yuri and Skoldir are banned against Please Love. They're known for that. I mean, that's kind of like their MO, almost, you can say. They're just they're practically famous for that in the community, honestly. So to see those two banned, it's almost like fitting, almost kind of giving them a sign of respect, in my opinion, that, you know, they're good at what they can do. Might as well take those characters out of the system, so that's kind of nice to see. As well as we're seeing Jorv on Dizzy one more time, and beyond that, it's going to be kind of interesting to see how things play out, because they do have a Swiggins against that Dizzy, and Dizzy has a potential to be getting out of Anchor, but just, again, any kind of CC against her, especially a potential chain where she just very, very limited movement, it's going to be very difficult for her to manage it, potentially at the very least. But before we go on and head into the gameplay segment of the stream, I do want to point out a couple things for chat. We do have the wipe hype going on, so if you, during the match at any time, if you do see a wipe happening for either team, we will be giving out some skins for those of you who say wipe hype first, as well as some of you in chat are already participating, that we can go ahead and predict who will be winning, so either red or blue. We have moderators in chat who are keeping track of who says what, and should you guess the team that wins correctly, you also are entered into a chance to win a skin. Completely free, just for participating in chat and being here, hanging out, and being a viewer for the Rumble cast. So with that, do you have anything to add, Dusty, before we go in?
Not particularly, but that does make me curious. Which team do you like more here, red or blue? Who do you think is going to be winning here?
I
has the stronger comp.
I think it's going to... I gotta give it to red team, I'm gonna be honest. The blue team does have potential for that. Sentry does have potential for some pretty strong silence. I mean, his, I think it's phone for the deaf or something like that. It's basically like a 2-second silence on his teleburst, and that against someone like Dizzy again and Nibs as well, who have really rely on their abilities for the mobility, can be pretty devastating on top of, you know, the chain down and the slowdown for Max as well. However, on the red side, there is a lot of mobility, as well as Genji on their side. And Genji, if he's going to be able to get to, you know, the 15-20 minute mark, that's going to be pretty interesting as well. You know, with Bronco use, that can potentially take Max out of the equation for a bit of time. The top of the heal, the shield, speed up, and just a whole lot of support. Genji, in my opinion, is one of, if not the strongest supports in the game. So to see him play this out is going to be very interesting and exciting.
Yeah, definitely, and yeah, as you were saying, the Bronco used very, very effective upgrade against Max Focus.
Absolutely. So with that, why don't we go ahead and transition over to the gameplay part?
All right.
All right. So let's go ahead and boom, boom, fading. Awesome, sweet. Streaming still going smoothly. It's good to see for myself.
Fantastic.
All right. So just as a quick note, we have a badass catch-up on Nibs. Mr. Pillow going to be on Genji, and Jorv going to be on Genji, and then Jorv on Dizzy, and then Love is going to be on Max. Swiggins is going to be played by Game is Broken, and Seb is going to be their Sentry, just to know who's who in the match. So, with that being said, are you ready to go at the 38-second mark?
That I am.
All right, so go and count it down for us, Dusty.
All right, beginning in 3, 2, 1, go.
Alright, and here we have coming out of the match. We do see a Piggy coming out on the Sentry right off the bat, and like I said, kind of interested to see who and when is going to be getting some Piggy, but we have it right off the bat, getting some lifesteal on Photo Mines as well as some regen, so a lot of sustain coming out on the Sentry.
Definitely. That's definitely something that Sentry is going to need a lot of.
Yes, both Sentry and Nibs getting pretty low,
but,
yeah.
Both teams managing to escape death for now. Great teleport by Nibs, avoiding that anchor as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, honestly, I actually really like that that upgrade out of the Sentry, both the regen and the lifesteal and mines. Normally, if I play Sentry, I just go double regen off the bat, but that's gonna have to be a build that I try at some point. That's very interesting. I like that.
No, it's especially early game. I find that a lot of times having just a lot of sustain, being able to push just constantly, or being able to harass nearly constantly is going to be pretty vital. There is going to be right there, pick off right there on Dizzy, Sentry, Black Hole, and Chained right there. Unfortunately, not going to be able to escape. That is going to give Blue some push up on top. Not a whole lot, pretty early game, so they can't really tank too much, but still some free push and a kill, some solar, and a little bit of a experience lead as well.
Yeah, that is for sure, and now getting a little bit of push on bottom as well. And a 1-for-1 trade. The Nibs for... I can't believe I'm forgetting characters' names. Spiggins. Nibs and Spiggins.
No, yeah, we all have those days, man. Don't worry about it too much. It's all good. There's going to be Genji right there, getting a little bit of push on bottom. Took a bit too uptake, but he did get about 2 bars off of that. Everybody gonna be back in lane, Nibs coming in as well. Sentry gonna have like a mid-sized black hole or so, maybe some danger right there. But yeah, something I wanted to point out as well is that with sentries, I feel like 90% of the time I feel when I go against sentries as that they pick up silence like immediately. So I do expect that to be coming out at the very least very soon, if not, as soon as possible. But with that said, are you kind of looking for any upgrades or anything in particular that you have in mind?
Out of these characters, I mean, as you were saying, Genji with Bronco used to be very powerful. Maybe not quite yet, but definitely sooner. I do like the Storm Drum pickup off of Genji. And Badass Ketchup going down.
Yeah, just kind of...
Caught in a black hole.
Yeah, caught in a black hole, melted. Trying to capitalize on that Genji cocoon, but unfortunately going to be taken out himself. And that is going to be a little bit of tanky push right there up top for blue team.
Not a whole lot, but a couple bars down, and a couple bars down in the early game is quite a lot, actually.
No, it definitely does add up, and, that's kind of, especially on this map, such a large map, and getting it open pretty early is pretty important. And Dizzy right there, going to be chained right there, like I was talking about in the draft talk. There's going to be potentially some of that going on with Dizzy being limited in her movement to be able to actually take her down, basically.
And that is one thing that, at least at the very least, Nibs is able to escape from, as long as she has her cooldowns up, being able to teleport away. But Dizzy, not really quite as much.
No, there's gonna be a couple of cocoons. I will say, Pillow playing the Genji, pretty good about landing some cocoons, even if it's just for harassment's sake. Maybe not all of them are going to be kills, but just for the sake of harassment and being able to immobilize some characters at some points in time. Definitely does, a bit of mind games, you can say. No real damage going to be taking part of them, but just being able to let him know that he's present and potentially a threat.
Yeah, definitely. We have seen a couple chances, a couple opportunities with those cocoons. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like any of them quite yet have turned into kills. Mr. Pillow going down to the black hole as well.
Wow.
Sentry looking really low, though.
Yeah, he's going to be getting out of that kind of situation, though, looking for some regen. Almost going to be taken out by Dizzy right there, but not quite enough damage. Dizzy going to be looking for just clearing right there. Going to be getting out of the black hole, so not too much going on there. I will say, I'm kind of surprised from the blue side. They seem to be almost relying on the black holes exclusively. I mean, there have been some instances where the chain has been a big factor, but definitely, anytime there's someone in a black hole, they definitely try their best to capitalize on that, and that's what you gotta do when you play with a Sentry.
Oh, absolutely. He creates team fights so much.
Yeah, he's basically the make or break in a lot of initiations and team fights. So there's no one in the black hole. It's not necessarily the end of the world, but it is a lot of area denial as well. It's probably one of, if not the biggest, areas in the game, like AOE's in the game, I should say.
Yeah, maybe Clunk's Explode as well would be in that category, but I'm not sure which is bigger.
I think it might be the exact same size. For some reason, I remember as a Clunk being caught in those, exploding and just not being able to see the circle because they're just like overlaid on top of each other. That being said, there is a bit of a team fight. Not going to be a whole lot. Dizzy's going to be relatively low. Still going on this team fight, trying to see if anyone can pick off anything right there. Genji cocooning the Swiggins to take him out of the equation, and Dizzy and... Ooh, right there, Dizzy's going to be caught right there. Looking to get out of that. He's going to be pretty low, very low. Just going to be getting out. Probably one more auto attack even from that Swiggins Ink would have been taking him out. So lucky them.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely see Blue Team coming out here and being definitely taking advantage and taking control of the map. And I think this is definitely a change from last game. Last game, they were very reliant on those mines, and because they were playing very defensively, this time because their displacement and their control is dependent on the sentry, they're definitely able to play a little bit more forward and take much more map control.
Mm-hmm. No, even just the threat of the sentry around definitely would make the red team a little bit more cautious, and you definitely see that. I mean, push-wise, you know, there's only a couple bars left on both of the red front turrets, and on blue side, pretty sitting relatively comfortably. Both turrets cracked, but nowhere near in the state that the red turrets are.
Yeah, for sure.
That's gonna be
Mr.
a big
Pillow,
block. Almost gonna be taken out.
Gets out
right there. Dang, that was a lot. That honestly, like right there, Genji. We were talking about earlier. Genji's support coming in clutch right there. The shield is like 100% what saved him right there. Badass ketchup right there. Unfortunately, caught out and not gonna be able to get out of the chain and black hole. Not black hole. The time bubble.
And we see the first tier 1 going down. Bottom turret for red.
Yeah. And it's going to be right here. Also, Dizzy going down, unfortunately. Mr. Pillow going to be left alone with a little under 2 bars to defend. And it looks like Blues is going to try to tank that top down. So both tier 1s on the red side are just going to be gone. Opening the map for the blue side and seeing if they're going to be able to push a little bit forward and keep up this area denial and map control for them.
Yep. And we do have Nibs teleporting away, one thing she's very good at, so...
Yeah, it's almost like it's in her nature.
Yeah, even though Blue Team does have so much area control and CC in that, still not quite able to catch Nibs.
No, not quite. Everyone's going to be going back on the blue side. A lot of upgrades being purchased as well as on the red side. There we have actually Silence coming out on the Sentry's Caliber. So, like I said, that's something I was kind of looking out for myself and expected it pretty early. It looks like he was maxing out auto attack first, and that itself, I think, is a pretty smart idea against someone like Dizzy, especially, who you kind of like assume. I feel like, ooh, there's going to be a team fight here going on. Swiggin's going to be going down. 1-for-0 trade right there. There's going to be a red team's, like, maybe first, if not only, like, 1-for-0 trade in their favor. You can see that right there. 2 kills for the red team, but 7 for the blue. So they definitely have some catching up to do, the red side.
That is for sure.
But yeah, as I was saying, it seems like it's a pretty good idea for the Sentry to be going. Wow, Nibs right there playing with fire, I gotta say. Getting out very, very low with the Sentry coming down on them. But yeah, just because with those mines, you know, they stay in place and they do the same amount of damage right now than they do stationary as they do as a projectile. That on top of the AoE size gives them plenty of lifesteal as well as plenty of damage, just like harassment damage and area control damage as well. So yeah, overall solid, I would say, and on top of that, Silence, always awesome on Sentry. Some would say too awesome. I may be among them, so.
Yeah, definitely. But an argument for maybe why they didn't... Oh, and Jorv going down there to a black hole. But maybe why they decided not to go for Silence this early is just because of how constantly these characters are able to put out damage. Like Pillow on the Genji, that Storm Drum Cloud being able to really just harass. You're not able to teleport in that. Same with Nibs' fire from walking.
Ooh, yeah.
Badass Ketchup going down as well.
Yeah, they keep. I feel like Nibs keeps trying to capitalize on these cocoons, and you know, good on them. But at the same time, that is a lot of the times her downfall. Her trying to come in and do some damage on the cocoon person, and then, you know, the rest of the blue team coming in, unfortunately. Let's see if Pill's going to be able to get out of this one. He's going to be able to just live out of that one, and actually going to be picking up a double in favor of the red team. Both the Max and the Swiggin's going to be going down. Sentry left alone to defend, all 3 red members out in lane. And a little bit more towards mid-game, we'll see if they're actually able to capitalize on this. Hopefully get a turret down, I'm not so sure about that, but definitely some decent turret damage.
For sure. I don't know if Red Team's going to be able to get a turret off of this. Well, they will definitely get top with multiple droids and Jorv pushing. Bottom, though, both Pillow and Badass catch up very low. I don't think they're going to be able to get bottom turret off.
Yeah, no, it looks like they're going up. Seb right there on the sentry trying to cut him off, and Genji just looking at barely getting out of that. Again, one more auto attack, and I feel like that would have been him down.
Yeah,
so
for
that's pretty lucky on their part here. At least, you know, dancing around the fire in that case.
Yeah, that was a great use of teleport to get that flank on them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, like, myself personally, I would have just totally forgotten that that beacon was there in the first place and just tried to use teleburst later and then see, like, oh, I'm actually on the other side of the map. How do you know?
Yeah,
what do you
I know I would have forgotten about that.
Speaking of which, we do see some damage coming out on the sentry. Yellow King page is going to be teleburst damage right there as well, so making that teleburst silence a little bit more potent too. Relatively early, in my opinion, we also see some pills coming out from Swiggins and Max. I guess that double on them really affected them if they're both going to be getting pills at the same time.
Yeah. Best thing to avoid dying. Health.
Yeah.
More health.
Yeah, I mean, it's
As much as you can get.
It's one strategy, I guess you can say. The whole not dying bit is very imperative to trying to win this game, I'd say. So, you know.
Yeah, I think that's a fair strategy. I like that strategy.
Yeah, it's pretty strong. I say. I think I might actually give some classes on that. So, you know. But here we have a little bit of some poking going around. Swiggin's gonna be about half health before anything goes down, really. And right now, just a lot of clearing. Some red droids are pushed out towards their blue top. Swiggin's gonna be there to take care of that. And yeah, just a whole lot of not too much going on, honestly. Just trying to see. Everyone is pretty spread out. The nature of this map is that it's just big. That's just kind of like what it is. So it is difficult to have all teammates at the same time and have effective map coverage. But here we have something going on here. Both Dizzy and who's that person? Genji. Thank you.
Yeah, Genji.
Just gonna be going back a little bit, taking a little bit of damage there. Some free turret damage right there with both Sentry and Swiggins going back, so they're gonna be taking a little bit off that. Only about a bar and a half, 2 bars left on the bottom blue, so should expect that to go down pretty soon. It's kind of one of those things that it sort of effectively might as well not be there at that point. Jorv gonna be caught right there in the black hole as well as the chain, going down to break damage actually. So that's gonna be you know, 1-for-0 trade again in favor of the blue team.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very potent combo, the Sentry Swiggins.
Yeah, especially against Dizzy, you know, even if you're not able to get like auto attack or necessarily DPS on Dizzy, just being able to chain and grapple her does first off a lot of damage and limits her movement, and you also get you know, potentially a lot of break damage as well. He does have both stages of the spoon. What is it? Pneumatic spoon. So that's going to be a break damage on top of Dizzy. So the moment you're chained, you gotta expect, you know, you're gonna be taking another 200, 300 damage, if not more. So
I believe it's 360 damage.
Wow, that's
quite a bit off of that.
I feel like I should know that. Swiggins is one of the characters that I play pretty often. I don't know. I don't pay attention to numbers. I'm still used to.
Genji.
Oh, Genji right there. Nib's gonna be going down instead. Actually, unfortunate. Just caught in the crossfire. Dizzy gonna be trying to get something there. Swiggin's gonna be just barely getting out. So unfortunately, just gonna be another 1-for-0 trade on the blue side, or the blue side, I should say. Yeah, but I was gonna say
some great harassment out of Dizzy, but not really able to capitalize on anything in kills quite yet.
Yeah, so, but maybe it is, you know, about mid-game, level 9, level 10, about halfway through the game, you know, potentially anyway, if last game is anything to go off of. But, you know, potentially we're going to see more damage. Oh, I was totally missing on that, unfortunately. But there was going to be that Dizzy pick-off right there. Just Swiggins catching her off guard and, you know, taking her out. There's going to be another grapple right there. A lot of damage on Genji. And that's actually Swiggins going to be going down for once. You know, a lot of times it seems like initiation, counter-initiation. It seemed like red side was always in the disadvantage in that point. But, you know, this time it came out in favor for the red team.
Yeah, it was a great teleport off of Nibs. And just a bit too low was Swiggins. Was able to pick up that kill fairly easily.
Right. Something I'd like to point out is that it looks like Dizzy is going for a full orb build at this point. So she does have the range and speed upgrade as well as the base damage. And the Frenzy upgrade when she comes out of Orb. So it's kind of interesting. I feel like I hardly see Orb coming out as being built entirely before anything else. You know, a lot of times you see the dot upgrade on her Fire Breath, or you know, some boots, or maybe some like auto attack at the very least, depending on who you're playing against. But you know, to see Orb is a little bit unique too. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm kind of wondering what the rest of her build is going to be looking like.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is just a product of who she's playing against. Blue team is just really able to punish immobility. The moment she locks herself down with that Fire Breath, you have to worry about Swiggins, you have to worry about Sentry, and even Max Focus with the Laser Light Show. Mr. Pillow going down as well.
Yeah,
trading with love.
Trading for love, and actually going to be able to get that turret as well. Jorv right there, going to be looking pretty low. Game is broken right there too, looking for something there. And Badass Ketchup going to be left alone in the teleport, not the cell, with the black hole, taking some auto attack damage. Swiggins maybe going to be looking for something. No, not quite. Badass Ketchup is just going to be getting away. So, yeah, pretty messy team fight. 2 for 1 in favor of the blue team, but red team did get the bottom tier 1 turrets for blue. So, you know, overall, worth it. Potentially. Definitely gives red side a little bit more map control with the big bot coming out, as well as blue side did get some solar off of it too. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's going to be pretty close as far as trades. You know, 2 for 1 plus a turret. Pretty okay, in my opinion.
Yeah, pretty okay.
It was not a white pipe, unfortunately, those of you in chat.
Not quite.
Not quite. Nice try, bro. Nice try. Yeah, so...
all 3 kills do have to be on the same team, unfortunately.
Yeah, the turrets do not count for the white pipe either. So you got to keep that in mind. But yeah, we have here, what we were talking about, that it looks like red team is going to be a little bit more comfortable going onto the blue side, seeing that they are now over there. Droids are being pushed out too. Badass Ketchup as well as Genji going back, so I don't know if they're going to be sacrificed. Ooh, Jorv going to be caught in chain. Black hold, and that's just him gone. 306 damage,
definitely.
break damage. Just melted right there, unfortunately. So, unfortunately that he was left alone and just going to be picked off there. But, you know, it is what it is. That being said, blue side is going to take advantage of that, push onto the red team side, and just see what kind of push they can get off of this guy. Nibs also, as well as like Ksenia in the last game, probably one of the worst defenders, unfortunately. So, you know, to see her on bottom alone, little scary, you can say.
Yeah.
But
I mean, Orb and Fire does a decent amount to clear out the droids, but after that,
yeah,
Frenzy Attack is useful, just not for defending.
Yeah, right. Speaking of Frenzy Attack, though, I do see... Oh, it's going to be Jorv chained again. Jorv right now, Dizzy, not having a good time with that Swiggins, I gotta say. Like, he's going to be... Oh, that's going to be... Oh, this pillow going down as well. That's not good.
Trying to escape through the fire, but...
yeah, at least was able to live through the fire. Yeah, not unfortunately going to be enough of that. So there's going to be Badass Ketchup right there, going to be trying to do something, anything to save that bottom turret. I don't think he's going to be able to do much, honestly. Already 2 down, going to be teleporting, and yeah, that's just bottom gone. There's no helping that, unfortunately, as a Nibs. So that is going to be... Ooh, up, and he was there, and now he's gone. So that's going to be another kill in favor of the blue side. 6 kills on the red team, and while we have 18 to the blue team's name, so quite a disparity right there.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of those coming out of Swiggins too. Swiggins with 10 kills so far. I mean, really, I think it's just Chain Anchor catching that Dizzy out so many times.
Yeah. Also, that was not a wipe either. They all have to be dead at the same time. Turrets do not count again. I want to remind everyone about that.
It's close. Not quite.
Yeah.
Jorv is going to go down again. Dizzy just not having a good day here.
Yeah, just not having a good day. Like, it just seems like something about this team. Well, Suiz is going to be going down a little bit ambitious in that hook, but some damage, but, you know, not worth it at that point. There is going to be a pillow caught on the black hole. Love and on the max going to be chased around by the Nibs. Seeing if they're going to be able to do anything. They're pretty low, and with a max orb, that is going to be them going down, actually. So yeah, that's going to be interesting right there. Yeah, so we'll see everything kind of calming down a little bit. A lot of droids from the blue side. There's a big bot right there, and just a whole, just like a line, just like a convention center of droids on the bottom lane right there. So yeah, Jorv gonna be. It
would be great if Dizzy was able to help out here, but just having to clear those droids away means It's 2v2 at a blue turret, and Pillow is going to go down because of it.
Yeah, and me as the camera operator decided to focus on the droid clearing rather than anything else interesting going on, so, you know, that was my bad.
It happens.
Yeah, it is what it is. There is going to be just a little bit of a harassment going on. Blue team isn't... Oh, I was about to correct it. I was going to say blue team isn't necessarily looking to push into base directly just yet, but I stand corrected. They're kind of harassing bottom lane right now, seeing if there's any kind of advantage they can push immediately. But not just yet right here.
Yeah, and honestly, that is probably what they should be doing, pushing bottoms, so that they're splitting the defenders, able to take top possibly more easily if they can.
No, yeah, definitely. A bottom lane is definitely a priority for the red team, because that is base exposure. If they let droids through, you know, even if it's like just a quarter bar or like two, it's definitely damage that adds up 100%. Genji, or not Genji right there, Nib's going to be going down right there, unfortunately, burning her fire breath and teleport, and just going to be taken out right there, unfortunately, so, you know.
Was both chained and caught in a massive black hole.
Yeah, that was a lot of damage. That was an 800 damage black hole. Pillar right there in a similar situation, being caught alone, chained, black hole, and that's going to be him going down right there. Damn. They got the combo going off.
They do, and this could possibly be game.
Potentially,
Nibs is dropping right now. Pillow's gone for another 10 seconds. Dizzy's left alone to defend.
Yeah, Dizzy,
now Nibs is coming back.
Decent defender with her AoE clone, but at the same time, against 3 people who are able to really take care of her, gonna be difficult to kind of swing that in my opinion. But that being said, it looks like they are just backing off right now. Sentry gonna be looking in a dangerous position, actually gonna be going down right there to Dizzy, so a little bit of payback finally for the Dizzy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, a little bit of sweet vengeance. Something I did want to note though, interesting Nibs build. I was talking about how I was kind of interested to see in how it was going to play out with Orb being the first maxed out ability there. She also did get a regen on her auto attack, so for all the if she has a max friendly, she gets 50 health per second. That's quite a bit. So, you know, it's going to be a lot of kind of like team fighting kind of thing. So it's more of a sort of like an auto attack build, but not quite. It's a bit of mix, like a bit of column A, bit of column B.
It's a strange build, but I like it.
Yeah.
I don't know how well it's working out, but I like it.
Yeah, it's tough to see exactly how it's going on. You know, it doesn't seem to be that strong at this point, but you know, it is still going on. 23 minutes in, kind of like creeping into late game at this point, and we'll see how things turn out in the long run. Do you want to point something else out as well? We're talking about like, you know, late game or like emergency piggy banks at the scene. Genji gonna be actually burning 2 utility slots to get Piggy into a baby curry mammoth. So, you know, trying to get a little bit less chain duration, be affected by black hole a little bit less. Sion's gonna be taking a little bit less duration as well. Not Jorv right there. Pillow giving us some intense action play right here, standing right next to the health pack.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
Incredible. All right, back to reality though. It's gonna be a team fight here going on. Dizzy right there, unfortunately, gonna be in the black hole and taken out there. So, you know, there's going to be that 1-for-0 trade. Genji and Nibs going to be trying to defend their base, potentially, at this point. Sentry teleported right in. Actually going to be trying to do, not necessarily backdoor, but definitely going to be trying to get them there ASAP to be able to push right there. So, there we have just them 3. Cocoon right there. Genji not going to be chained, but taking a good chunk of damage right there, so... We have
yeah, unfortunately, blue team no piercing abilities to hit anybody inside the base.
No, unfortunately, there's just a black hole, but that was already burned at that point. So
yeah, at that point, yeah. So red team able to sit back and defend pretty well-ish.
Their base is looking at half, so you know this late in the game, a double kill will probably seal the deal, honestly. But even a single kill, are probably going to be looking at least a bit of base damage, so they got to be playing at least a little bit carefully, or at least a little bit more diligently, at the very least.
Big anchor coming out as well, and a black hole.
Big black hole right there coming out. Swiggin's going to be looking for something right there. Pillow and Nibs are going to be both looking low. Swiggin's just going to be backing off. Genji teleporting back. And that was a pretty intense team fight. Very, very short, but a lot of damage coming out. No one's going to be going down, unfortunately. But, you know, we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, it does look like Dizzy and her clone bomb was able to dissuade blue team from chasing any further, which is probably the right decision at this point. This is their game to lose, and they really don't have to take any too crazy risks at this point.
Right. Yeah. It is kind of difficult for Genji to be cocooning people and for them to be capitalizing on it. Just based on their counter initiation, it kind of depends because Black Hole, pretty easy counter initiation, just kind of plop it right above the black or the cocoon. Gonna be all the abilities right there being burned out, and Red Team actually coming out pretty okay with that. Sugin's gonna be relatively. Nope, never mind. That's gonna be Nibs going down.
And Badass Ketchup goes down.
Yeah, so that's gonna be Red Team trying to play catch up. It looks like Blue Team is just kind of making a beeline for their base. So see if they're gonna be able to get something off of this. I don't know if it's gonna be game necessarily here, but again, a single kill is gonna mean that they're gonna be getting something off of the base.
A weak Black Hole, but it might not quite be enough.
Pillow,
Will Anchor.
ooh, Pillow
Anchor,
almost
not
going
gonna
down.
Be enough as well.
And
Game
Pillow
is
gonna be
broken,
right there.
Going down as well.
All right, everybody teleporting back. Genji defending a 1-bar base with 1 bar of his own. So things are looking pretty rough. Honestly, at this point, it'll take a wipe for the red team to make this up. It's kind of like Sentry can just kind of plop in, put in a teleport, probably just backdoor that at this point. It's only a bar. Sentry has max auto attack, so it's gonna be difficult to swing at this point.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Very, very difficult game for a red team to come out with anything positive, and it is certainly blue team's game to lose.
That being said, red team is all the way pushed up onto the blue's turrets. Wiggins did go down in that case, and it made the blue team kind of go back on their heels at that point. But they're going to be trying to defend their best, and you know, at this point, you're right, it is blue team's game to lose. They just need to be slightly cautious and kind of like not get carried away with the lead that they have, because I've seen plenty of ambitious and kind of like very, I wouldn't necessarily call it arrogant, but you know, cocky might be the best word for that. Cocky gameplay come out of this kind of situation where blue team effectively has it in the bag and they just kind of choke. But we'll see. I don't think that's going to necessarily happen, but it's always a possibility.
I mean, blue team's team is just so hard to engage into, especially when sitting on the turret because of Anchor, because of Black Hole. All it takes is a single positioning mistake, and red team loses one person, and really they can't afford to have those kind of losses at this point.
No, they really can't. So red team's still going to be pushing up right there. Swiggins going to be looking really low. Nib's going to be looking for something maybe. That shield is going to be doing a lot of favors for Swiggins right there. Going to be reducing a lot of the damage coming out from Nibs and being able to get out of that pretty safely. So Nibs looking pretty low herself. They're going to be probably getting out. And things are going to be just cooling off a little bit. Everyone on the red team half health or lower, so maybe don't want to do necessarily any kind of engagements right now, but who knows? Maybe they want to push their luck. You know, it's kind of like who dares wins at this point. Again, red team is effectively lost. They need to make a big play happen soon, or things are going to be not looking so great for them in the near future.
Yeah, absolutely. And while all of this is happening, actually Blue's tier 2 tower on the top, very low, less than 1 bar. But it does look like Pillow is going to go down, though, while all that's happening.
Genji
Swiggin, not going to base. He's going to decide that was a bad idea, and he's going to fall back.
Ooh, a lot of the... Ooh, okay.
But getting a kill.
Yeah, a lot of things happening right now. So that's going to be a 2-for-1 trade in favor of the blue team right there. I was going to say, Badass Ketchup chasing the Swigs, maybe trying to at least stop him from going to base. He's just going to go for it, though, at a back door.
He's going.
He's just going. So Nibs is there right there. We'll see how much damage he can actually do. Swiggins going to be going down just shy, but Max is going to be coming in. And no further data of this replay. So it turns out the red team made a comeback right there and was actually... No. So that's going to be that in favor of the blue team. Yeah, so... Very, very kind of interesting match how that played out. A lot of having to do with area denial, a lot having to do with control, especially on top of the Dizzy. Dizzy was not having a good time this match.
No, 6 kills but 12 deaths. Not a fantastic game for her.
Yeah, not the cleanest of games. Right now I have the kill cam going as well. But yeah, as I was saying, like I kind of like was expecting a little bit, maybe not a little bit more from the red team, wasn't the phrase I want to use, but I was expecting maybe something a little bit different from the red team. But at the same time, blue team was getting a lot of counterplay on them, you know, being able to kind of shut down any kind of initiations from cocoons, as well as just being able to pump out a lot of damage on top of that. So overall, you know, it is going to be in favor of the blue team. That does mean that Please Love, their team, is going to be going up 2-0 in this best of 5 series. So, yeah. You have anything to say about this match?
I don't believe so, other than, well played.
Yeah, it was a good match to see, a good match to cast for sure. Much more interesting than the last match. not to point, not to brown nose anything, but in that case, we'll go ahead and I'll let the kill cam go ahead and play. With that, we're gonna be setting up the next match for you guys. Hopefully that'll be soon. Because like I said, this matches are being played live, so they might be currently in the draft, they might be currently playing. We'll let you guys know. But with that, we will see you guys soon on the other side of the break. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Rumble Tournament's Championship Cup. We are doing the losers final today, Idiots versus Please Love. This is going to be game 3 out of a best of 5, and we're going to be seeing Idiots on the red side, and the blue side is going to be taken for Please Love. Joined by me is going to be right here, the one and only Dusty, co-casting. You're here with me today. How you doing, Dusty?
I'm doing well.
Doing well, good to hear.
Yourself?
I'm doing alright. Goes so far so good on this whole streaming and kind of like being the man behind the curtain thing. Going pretty smoothly, at least for my sake, or for my perspective at the very least. Hopefully it's coming out well on the cast and on the stream. Only time will tell, I guess, if they criticize me or not. But in any case, why don't we go ahead and just jump right into this match 3 draft. How about you take us through it?
Alright, no problem. For Team Idiots, the band Knots are going to be Yuri and Swiggins. We've seen some scary play out of Please Love on Swiggins, on Skoldier, on Sentry, on Durple. At this point, it's just a question of who does Idiots want to ban. They know that Please Love does have a very powerful Yuri. They know from last game that Swiggins is very powerful. So decent bans at that point, and Please Love banning Ix and Rocket. Team Idiots picking Dizzy, Raylan, and that is not a Gnaw. It is in fact an imposter.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly what happened there, but Idiots actually picking a Voltar, I believe. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure if the viewers have access to the draft link, but on the red side, it looks like they picked Gnaw, but we did get a correction, both from the replay as well as from the players themselves. They actually did last pick Voltar instead of that Gnaw, so just as a quick note of that. It is on the stream right now, but just kind of clarifying that for those of you who might be looking at the draft link. Nonetheless, though, a couple of things I want to point out. Jorv not going to be playing Dizzy this time around. He has been playing Dizzy the last 2 matches, but this time Dizzy is going to be taking by Badass Ketchup, so they are still going to have a Dizzy on their team. You know, very strong contender potentially for, you know, a lot of clearing, a lot of harassing and assassinations, things like that, but going to be taken up by Badass Ketchup. Jorv going to be on the Ray this time, as well as Pillow on the Voltar. Kind of an interesting comp in my position. That's definitely not one of your first ideas when you try to think of a competitive comp, in my opinion. But, you know, there are some pretty strong contenders at the very least. They're definitely going to have a lot more push. You know, Voltar trains are definitely a thing in this game. It's potential that they can just go at it if they get a double kill or something like that. As well as Raylan just be offering a lot more range, a lot more harass, as well as also going to be that time rift against like tanky characters like these guys can be some pretty brutal stuff. So we'll see how things play out in that regard. And on the other side, like you were saying, Blue Team Please Love, gonna be a lot of strong characters that we already seen today, but we know that are very effective. So we see the Scholar coming out of Love, she's very comfortable with that. Seb playing the Sentry, and even from last match we know that they know what to do with Sentry, and Game is Broken one more time on the Durple, and, you know, again, playing all the characters that they know how to play, and comp that is very, very tanky is kind of the first word that comes to mind. They're just kind of big characters that can be potentially tough to kill, at least from a health perspective, but we'll see. They do have a bit of a mobility disadvantage, especially someone like Sentry and Durple, where, you know, they only have like 3 directions they can move in at any given time. So, you know, we'll see how things play out, but for this, how about we just go ahead and jump right into the match?
Sounds good to me.
Alright, great. And contradicting what I literally just said, let's go ahead and go over that we do have a couple things going on in chat, that if you want to go ahead and place a bet on who is going to win this match, either red side or blue side, then you just go ahead and say blue or red in chat. It's not like a bot's taking care of this. There's going to be a mod who's actually moderating this, so you can go ahead and just say who's going to win before we actually get into the match, and you can win a prize potentially at the end of this based on who you chose to win. Other note is that when there is a wipe going on in the match at any given time, it has to be an actual wipe. We will let you know if it's a wipe. You have the potential again to say wipe hype in chat and be entered to win. No, you'll just win if you're first to win a skin for this game. So that being said, a couple notes there. How about we just go ahead and jump right into the match now that I've mentioned that.
Alright, sounds good to me.
All right.
Are you queued up at 38 seconds?
Yes, I am. Let me go ahead and give a transition over to that screen. And let me put another dot for their wins. Where is that? Red. Where is that even? Oh, it's over here. It's... Bam! Sick. Alright, there's 2 dots over there on that side now. That's all I wanted to do. Okay.
Alright, fantastic.
That out of the way, 38 seconds. How about you go ahead and count it down for us?
Alright, 38 seconds, starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
Alright. So here we have, one more time, AI Station 205 coming into play, and a little bit of a different character comp, and we'll see how things go. There's no more Swiggins, no, there is still a Sentry though, but, you know, Swiggins was probably one of, if not the biggest problems that Red Team was having in their last match. So with that taken out of the equation, they're going to be playing probably at least a little bit more comfortably, if not much more effectively. So we'll see how things like that go for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and coming out for the builds, Sentry and Durple both going double regen off the bat for that added sustainability. And Swiggins, or not Swiggins, excuse me, Skoldir coming out with Stun Punch, no surprise there. On the other side, Time Rift damage starting out. Honestly, I kind of like that decision, especially with the Durple on the other team. Landing a Time Rift on him would be very, very powerful. And then some heal bot, knockback, and more dashes on Dizzy, more dash speed cooldown.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Pillow, I play against Pillow pretty regularly, so I've been against his Voltar, and he's quite a fan of the knockback on Voltar, both from the heal bot as well as the drone knockback. So I'm not sure if we're going to be seeing the drone knockback necessarily, but you know, it's a lot of harass. It's annoying is probably the first word that comes to mind. I don't know if it's what you would call harass in, you know, this game's normal sense, that, you know, you kind of chip damage to the other knots or things like that, but more in the sense of, like, you know, literal, just taking away a little bit of control from the other team, even if it's just for a split second, can add up, you know, like I said, be annoying potentially more than anything else. So gonna be interesting to see how that plays out. Other note, like you were saying, Rift damage coming out on Raylan, that is going to be pretty interesting. I think that is a pretty good choice, honestly. Like I mentioned, these are pretty dang tanky characters, so to see, like, Rift coming out on that, damage on Rift coming out on that, I should say, could be something that's really, really effective. We'll just have to see. I don't expect to see any kind of, like, real snipe upgrades coming out from this Raylan anytime soon. Ooh, that's going to be really low Dizzy right there, trying to push top as they were defending right there. Voltar coming in with the save, though, actually being able to counteract that dot that Skolder was going to be definitely killing them in that case. Voltar, you know, coming in clutch so far.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but just as a quick wrap of what I was saying, generally when you come against tanky knots as Raylan, at least in my experience, you don't really build Snipe too much. Like, Snipe is more for finishing, like, low health enemies. A lot of times they're not going to be that low health, and you want to focus a little bit more on DPS when you're facing these kinds of tanks. So I do expect to see, you know, maybe a second stage of Rift damage pretty early, as well as a lot of auto attacks is what I'm expecting. There's going to be a throw right there on Raylan, speaking of which, going to be snared as well right there. Or not snared, but stunned, and just going to be taken out pretty quickly. Almost a 1 for nothing and kind of like 0 drawback exchange in favor of the blue team right there. So First Blood going in favor of Please Love right now.
Yeah, a fantastic kill. And we do have a little bit of push coming in on bottom turret as well, with Durple just basically sitting there.
Yeah, at that point, you know,
a lot of damage.
Yeah, it is called siege mode for a reason. You know, it's they can do a lot of DPS even to structures. So it's, you know, they can't really get away with too much of that if they want to be in the red team, I should say. Couple things to note. Yeah, go for it. Ooh, there's gonna be a throw right there, and
very low.
Not gonna be able to get the heal bot off in time. That would have been really clutch if he did. He did have knockback, so if he did get that heal bot off, he might have been safe from the other two characters. But, you know, unfortunately, not gonna be the case. There is gonna be a rift right there on Skull. Not gonna be enough damage, unfortunately, right there. Seb trying to body block the Raylan from going from the turret. I mean, technically successful, but also paid his life for it. So, you know.
And at the same time, Badass catch up on the Dizzy, managing to pick up the kill on Durple at the same time.
Good, yeah.
So it was that a 2-for-1, I suppose?
I guess you could call that, yeah. It was a pretty extended team fight. Voltar did manage to land at that time. But yeah, I would call that a 2-for-1. So even on kills so far, relatively even on levels. Red team is going to have a little bit of an advantage as far as, like, experience number They are going to be level 4 now too, they're level 3. A lot of damage coming out of the top turret as well. There are only going to be 2 bars left on that guy, so a lot more action going on in this match than the other previous matches where, you know, first match was... what was it? We were talking about like 4.5 minutes and we didn't have first blood yet or something like that.
Yeah.
Something crazy like that. But yeah, definitely a lot more action going on in this one. So thank you guys for giving us something interesting to cast for once. Jokes aside, though.
Not like the other games weren't interesting, though.
No, yeah, that's what I say. Like, jokes aside, these are very, very fun matches to be casting, and don't hurt me, Mr. Pillow. So, you know. So yeah, it's going to be general. I do want to point out Droid coming out on Rey, so it's going to be offering a lot of extra push as well as some potential just like extra bodies in the midst of some team fights. I know Droid can be a very, very good body blocker, especially against like these tanky characters who have just huge hitboxes, really. Gonna be a throw right there on Pillow with the lag and a little bit of a delay. Not gonna be towards the turret, unfortunately. Dizzy right there getting caught in the snare. Not gonna be able to capitalize on that. It looks like they already burned everything and just gonna be getting away in that case. But yeah. We do... Is that lifesteal? That is not lifesteal. So that's damage coming out on auto attack, is what I was looking for.
Yes.
Yeah.
For Sentry.
Yeah, for Sentry. Gonna be interesting to see, again, how Sentry builds. He doesn't have to worry so much about, like, such mobile knots in this case. They do have a Voltar and a Rey who is relatively easy to get into black holes. So, you know, with that being said, I don't know if he's going to be continuing to build auto attack or going to black hole. Who knows, only time will tell. They do have a lot of potential for damage on this team as well.
Definitely. Yeah, and red team's push really coming in strong here. I mean, blue team's done a little bit to the bottom turret, it's about half, but I mean, red team between the heals, being able to heal the bots, Raylan getting the Hummingbird drone, just a whole lot of push. I don't think red team is looking to win team fights here. I think they're just hoping, get that push, and hope to win that way. They probably won't end the game with a kill advantage, but if they do win, it's most definitely going to be because of a huge amount of push that they have.
No, yeah, I do see. I can't see that
going down as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Badass catch up right there.
A lot of danger.
Yeah, he's going to be looking really, really low over there.
Dashes.
Maybe he's going to... Yeah, he's actually going to be able to get out. Yeah. Cameraman skills kind of faltering me a little bit there. I tried my best to get that, but you basically saw that Dizzy was over there, really low health, and being able to dash out with some consecutive dashes, you know. That one upgrade, I believe it's like a 40% increase in cooldown right there. Yeah.
Yeah, the Walkbot Pro.
Yeah, so...
reload speed on multi-dash by 40% when there are no enemies near.
Yeah, so...
I don't know how far that is, but...
You know,
it's definitely coming in handy.
Yeah, either way, those 3 consecutive dashes from Dizzy is able to actually keep her out of danger at that point, coming in clutch right there. So, yeah.
Blue team with a little bit of push on the bottom lane, possibly.
No, a lot of damage. Skull almost going down. Dizzy almost going down there as well. So pretty close on both sides right there.
But with her one quick heal bot, and she's almost back up to full.
Yeah, it's crazy how that is. I did want to point out really quick though, Voltar, as I mentioned before, Pillow's a fan of this, also getting knockback on his drones. So again, just more like literal harassment, not necessarily damage or chip damage, but going to be just able to keep some enemies kind of out of position or just kind of move them a little bit, being a little bit more of a, like I said, at least annoying, and that can be effective in the long run too. It's going to be right there. Sure. Attempt to throw a... no, not going to be anything right there. Throw was already burned right there. If not, there definitely would have been a throw on Voltar right there. So nothing too much coming out of that. Dizzy relatively low, about 2.5 bars, but it's going to be getting out of there and healing up for a bit. So yeah, overall, red team right now is looking pretty strong. They have a lot of area control. They have a lot of harass, and especially with Voltar, you are right. They're maybe not necessarily looking for... any kind of like kill advantage or to be winning this game necessarily with like through kills and like solar in that way, but definitely just with the sustain and their presence that can go a long way as far as like for pushing as well. Ooh, the Voltar gonna be right there.
Mr. Pillow going down though.
Yeah, unfortunately his teammate's not gonna be able to do too much in that case. It's going to be Raylan left alone to defend bottom. That may or may not go down. Sentry and Derpal are looking kind of skittish about engaging right there. But no, there's a ton of droids right there, so yeah, that's definitely going down, no problem.
And Jorv is going to go down there as well with a well-placed black hole.
Yeah, nothing...
Badass catch up, possibly getting the flank. Very low, though.
Yeah, very low.
Not able to engage there, I'm afraid.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Voltar is not there to heal him up, so he is going to be relying just on, like, the default regen, which is incredibly low. It's something like 90 health a minute or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Something in that ballpark range. So, you know, maybe looking to pick up some sustainability for Dizzy on herself, even if they do have Voltar on their team. Maybe not rely on them so much, but that's going to be that. Blue Red team is going to be getting some of their droids over on top. Sorry to interrupt you. What are you going to say?
Well, blue team taking the first tier 1 turret and actually managing to get about half damage on that tier 2 on the bottom lane.
Yeah.
A lot of damage coming out. You're absolutely right. It's called siege mode for a reason.
Yeah, definitely. Man. But there's going to be some damage coming out on nuke as well. I haven't necessarily seen a whole lot of landed nukes, but still just like the threat of that being a potential is going to be interesting. There's going to be a snare right there. As I say that, there is going to be a snare into a nuke that is going to take out the Raylan. Dizzy going to be coming in for a quick cleanup as well on the Durple. So 1-for-1 trade right there. Ooh, badass ketchup getting a little bit low right there
very
again.
Low.
Playing with fire again, as I'd like to say apparently. But
very,
yeah,
very appropriate on this map.
Yeah, especially the last round when he was Nibs and I was saying he was playing with fire. But anyway, another thing to point out is that Starstorm statue is coming out relatively early on Sentry, so each one of those gives him 5% more damage just straight up on all of his abilities and any kind of damage that he does. So to see that coming out this early is a bit odd, personally, but it is effective. I mean, you know, Dizzy and Raylan are pretty squishy knots, as well as, attempted throw right there, not going to be connecting, unfortunately. But yeah, so seeing that come out relatively early, especially when he's building mostly auto attack, it is going to be going for at least a little bit of counter push and like counter harassment, I guess you could say. So we'll see if that is going to be playing out for them as well. So yeah.
Yeah, and on red team, looks pretty much standard so far. Raylan actually going for both ranks in the pump rifle snipe damage.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, like you were saying earlier, I'm not sure how I feel about this just because of how tanky blue team is. Which I say as Voltar manages to get a kill on Durple. So
yeah, just getting able to get enough damage.
Maybe I take it back?
Yeah, I mean, you never know. You never know. Things looking out. And yeah, Voltar right there using his heal bot more for like push than anything else, or like literal push, as in like he just uses the knockback on it. That is going to be bottom going down right there for the red team. So they are technically about a turret ahead. Well, I guess not, considering their bottom is about half, but still, they are going to be able to open up the map a lot more for themselves and give themselves a lot more mobility and options as far as like escapability, as well as like how to engage, when to engage, and all that. So, you know, things are looking pretty up for them.
Absolutely. And we are having Voltar and Dizzy going back, possibly buying upgrades. Lot of drone upgrades coming out of Voltar here. Drone explosion and what is that? Cooldown? Yeah, cooldown on summoning drones. So possibly going for a little bit of a drone army here.
Yeah, there is going to be some of that. I mean, it also gives him a little bit more opportunities to knock back his enemies. So, you know, we'll see. Like I said, not to harp on this too much, but Pillow has been a fan of that in memory. So, you know, if he's going to be able to do that more often, more power to him.
Ooh, Badass Ketchup caught in a trap and is going to go down to Durple as well. Maybe not the best place to dash.
Yeah, unfortunately. Pillar right there, gonna be looking to maybe like escape from this guy. No, just gonna be doing something right there. Jorv, though, however, going to be looking at a rough spot, just gonna be going down, all of them collapsing on him, nowhere to go, and just gonna be taken out right there. So, please love, the entire team is gonna be over on the red side. Maybe looking to capitalize on the turret damage that they already have on bottom. Pillar coming in from behind, seeing if he can do something as a Voltar? Question mark? Not so sure about that move, gotta be honest.
I'm not sure how I feel about the Voltar flank. Interesting, yes. Yeah. Effective, maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty safe to say that was not good. Just without mincing words.
Dizzy trying to get something done, though. Game is broken very low and is going to go down.
All right, so at least
the snipe and the Dizzy, yeah.
Yeah, so at least it was they got sort of a 1-for-1 there. It was a ton of damage on their bottom turret, though. So it's it's looking pretty rough on their side.
Just a little bit more than one bar. So basically in sneeze distance at this point. One or two of blue team getting in there, doing a little bit of damage. It's gonna go down pretty quickly.
Yeah. That being said, it would be pretty interesting to see if they are able to get that back turret before they even get the top top one there. I mean, the top one has been hardly touched at all, honestly. Like, they've been, we know, the moment they got that those kills, they definitely decided to focus more on bottom lane. It is a bit more of a priority, I guess. It does open their base to potential backdooring, or at least the threat of that. So, you know, having that in mind, it is kind of interesting, but it's going to be difficult to see if they, or interesting to see if how difficult it is for blue team to continue pushing that lane all the way to base if they don't have options for mobility.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one thing that blue team's possibly focusing on is just with how strong red team's push is, they might just be trying to expose a core as quickly as they can, get a couple kills, get a wipe, and just try and get that base down as quickly as they can. Because the longer that they play, Pillow going down to a snare.
Yeah, a double snare, actually, a triple snare, really, if you think about it. But yeah, yeah.
The longer that this game goes on, the more danger blue team is going to be in, because this push is just not going to stop with how powerful red team is.
Right. Volts are already going for that kind of like emergency or backup piggy, kind of like mid to late game right there, 16 minutes in, going for that, and going to be picking up some extra drone damage. So maybe a little bit something, I don't know if that's going to be substantial enough to, ooh, love going right there, actually going to be going down right there.
And he goes down. He
goes down to the Dizzy that we have over there, so... You know, 1-for-0 trade right there. Red team, at this point, really needs a little bit more of that. We were mentioning that they might not be winning so much in kills at the end of the day if they're going to be winning. But given, you know, what's going on in the match, it seems... Ooh! Nice Fat Cat right there, taking out Badass Ketchup. I thought Game is Broken, the Derpal was going to be going out for sure, just another dash from Dizzy. But a well-placed Fat Cat was actually enough damage to take out Dizzy before she was able to get to him.
Yeah, and we do have a fully charged black hole on Sentry for now as well. And he's going to use it on drones. Never mind.
Well, you know, it can only help for so much.
Yeah, true. Very true.
We are also going to be seeing a mine coming out on the Voltar's heal bot, so if the heal bot gets off successfully, there's going to be a little mine that pops up that's going to be doing quite a hefty amount of damage, honestly. Both stages going to be...
powerful.
Yeah,
very annoying.
It's 2 stages, so getting both of them, he's going to be doing about 540 with that, or 560 rather, with that upgrade. Pretty substantial, especially if put into some pretty good situations. Again, just it's almost like free damage for Voltar, because the heal bot on its own is already very, very effective, and just having it go off and being able to do damage in some regard to the other players, very, very valuable. Gonna be kind of a team fight. Pillow again with the flanking Voltar maneuver. And not going to be doing anything in that
pretty bad spot, but he does manage to get out. He's getting pretty low as well.
Yeah.
Doesn't manage to get into the heal bot as well, so she is about half health, looking pretty low.
Yeah, Skulder looking for a throw right there, not going to be able to catch anything, unfortunately. So red team right now is pushing up in general. They do have much more map control. I think that's really the difference between these two teams in general. Like, not even specifically the Knots are playing, although the Knots do lend a bit to that playstyle right now. But in the previous matches, it has been... Please Love rather, being generally more on the defensive side, and red team, the idiots, not the team name is the idiots is their team name. I'm not calling them idiots, but they have been a little, not necessarily more aggressive, but at least a little bit more adamant about having some map control. So you can tell that just by like even looking at the minimap, like the droids are pushed up to blue side. Not going to be able to get the throw on that side, but still going to be going down, Mr. Pillow, that Voltar. Sentry going to be going down there as well.
Trade on the Sentry.
1-for-1 trade in that case. So, yeah.
Yeah, but like you were saying, it does seem like blue team, Please Love, enjoys playing a little bit more on the back foot, enjoys playing a little bit more towards their turrets. It does make it harder to capitalize when they do get a double kill or even a team wipe, though, because then they have to wait for their droids to push all the way back up to red turrets to capitalize on that. I mean, that being said, tier 2 on the red is only a bit more than 1 bar, so at this point it doesn't really matter. But
right, no, yeah.
Being as slow and tanky as they are, getting over there definitely gives red team a little bit more time to respawn, if that does end up happening.
No, yeah. Speaking of being tanky, though, we see a lot of pills coming out on the blue side. Pretty much on everyone. Both stages of pills actually on everyone. Derpal, Sentry, and Skulder coming out, as well as Barrier Mags coming out of Derpal. So more tankiness and me being able to stay out a little bit longer, as well as being able to, you know, siege up, taking a little bit more. He doesn't have shield on siege mode, I believe, but you know that is a potential for him. If he does get that, I think if the math works out, he can have up to like 50%-ish damage reduction, which is
yeah, something silly like that.
Something pretty silly. So it is going to be interesting to see if he is going to be building that. But either way, just more sustainability for the red team. Because like I said, they are playing on their back foot a little bit. They don't really have access to the top creeps as red does, so they're looking for just like anything to keep them a little bit out there more right now, I think. So there's going to be that for them.
Throwing out a little bit of damage on top turret, doing basically just chip damage at this point. Playing very much a positioning game and just taking advantage of push wherever they can. Pillow going nuke though, between the snare and the nuke.
Yeah, right there. Unfortunately, these whole flanking Voltar maneuvers, not sure if they're really working out for Pillow too much, but...
It's an interesting strategy. I just don't think it's working.
It's something you don't expect. It's definitely something out of left field, but maybe it should stay in left field. So,
that might be a pretty good way of putting it.
Yeah. That being said, it looks like blue team is looking to push up a little bit. I don't know if they're going to be getting a whole lot done. Looks like they're just going for bottom, actually. Just going to be taking that out.
They're definitely going to take it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's like no contest. Voltar's the only one even remotely close to defending that. At the same time, not sure if it was really worth defending in the first place. Right there, Dizzy going to be caught out. Not going to be caught in any kind of trap, unfortunately. So he's going to be getting away.
One heal bot and she's back up to full.
Yeah, done and done. Still interesting for me personally is that there's no regen coming out on Dizzy either. We do see at least one stage coming out on Raylan, and despite them having a Voltar, in my opinion, you should almost always pick up regen at least. Like, there's almost no downside. It keeps you out there longer. Plus, if Voltar is down or just not in your area for whatever reason, you don't necessarily have to be hoping for them to come back in time or really relying on them that heavily for that kind of sustainability that you really need in a big map like this.
Yeah, at the same time, though, I mean, she's only died twice at this point, so, certainly regen is potent, but it might just be a case where Badass Ketchup feels like he just doesn't need regen quite yet. Might be an upgrade he picks up later, but...
Ooh, right there is going to be a nice throw as well as a Dizzy Snare Trap to make it a double with that nuke.
That might be game right there. I mean, Raylan is a very powerful defender, but defending against a Skoldir, a Durple, and a Sentry, it's going to be difficult at best.
Yeah, a couple of clutch riffs would come in handy right there. Durple, just going to be able to siege up right there, though, and really... No, that's going to be really good, man. That's going to be really rough.
We do have Dizzy and Voltar back, but at this point...
Yeah, it's going to be pretty rough.
Snare's already placed down. It's a difficult fight to take.
Yeah, there's going to be Skull actually going down. Dizzy going to be looking maybe for something right there, at least to chase these guys off. Going to be engaging the Sentry, seeing if... Ooh, almost going to be taken out. Oh, that's a one-for-one trade right there. That was really, really close and very, very well done. So they at least got them off of their base. Base looking at about half health right now. So, pretty rough spot. Similar to last game where their base was open, the base was exposed, and they were able to get a good chunk of damage right there. So, this late in the game, again, a kill, a double especially, could spell the end for Red Team here.
And their top turret, Tier 1, is starting to get pretty low as well. So if Blue Team wants to, they can start pushing through top as well and make Red Team start worrying about that. If that is something that they feel they need to do, which at this point, maybe. We do have a Sentry Beacon on Red's base.
Yeah.
Very, very potent. That's something that they're going to have to watch out for.
Yeah, and I don't think that's any kind of accident. Like, it's kind of like the Blue Team or Red Team can definitely see that on their minimap. So it's kind of always that, like, constant little bit of threat. Kind of going back to mind games a little bit, that they know it's there if they get killed or something like that. Ooh, speaking of which, Pillow
very low.
Very low.
DOT, is it going to be enough?
I don't know.
It is.
That's going to be unfortunate right there. So that is going to be a kill in favor of the blue team. Red team looking like they're just going to fall back a little bit, make sure that Sentry potentially is not going to be doing anything too heinous, and as well top turret is going to be going down for them. So a lot more accessibility for blue team.
Taking a little bit of map control, opening things up, giving them a few more paths to escape, and they are at this point look like they want to start pushing base.
Ooh, right there.
A lot of damage on Game is broken, but the kill on Badass Ketchup. Jorv looking very low as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like this is probably going to be game, as just Mr. Pillow is back to defend.
He didn't go for the flanking maneuver.
The knockback is great, but when your base is dead, it's not that effective.
Yeah,
that is
so
going to be game.
with that is going to be the end of this match. Defeat for the red side, so that is going to be 3-0 for the blue side. Please, idiots. Please, idiots. Nice, Pyro. Nice one. Please, love. But yeah, overall, very, very, like, almost a back and forth kind of in the beginning, but towards the end, it really, really became much more decisive as far as, like, how things were playing out. All in all, I gotta say, the Voltar pick, in retrospect, interesting. And I wouldn't say necessarily bad, but, you know, I think it was a case of a lot of times that he was just caught out, unfortunately, and nothing much he could do there against, like, a black hole, snares, throws. You know, Voltar, by design, is very vulnerable to CCs, and with such a CC-heavy enemy team, pretty rough for him in the first place. You know, I'm going through the kill cam right now, and frankly, it's a lot of Voltar getting thrown, so, you know, pretty tough for him to handle that kind of stuff.
He's got a pretty tall hitbox, so he's not difficult to throw at all. So he's pretty easy to catch out by Please Love.
Absolutely, but yeah, that is going to make it a best of 5 series here in favor of Please Love. So that's going to be the losers bracket in the history books. Idiot's going to be going down, unfortunately. They're not going to be participating next week, where we will be considering the tournament as well. I'll go ahead and let the kill cam go ahead and play out before I kind of get further into that. But yeah, before we kind of like go ahead and sign out, we want to say thank you very much to everyone who was here tuning in. We also want to thank Humble for kind of sponsoring us here, as well as Ronimo for kind of like being in support of this whole tournament setup. So very, very much, and thank you very, very, very much for that. I would like to give a personal shout out as well to Pillow. Also give me the kind of like privilege and honor to be hosting this as well as streaming this myself. A lot of stress, a lot of responsibility, but I think overall went pretty okay. So we're going to be closing this out on a relatively good note, I think. Roachcake, do you want to add anything to that?
Not really. They were fun games, great to watch. And I'm going to be looking forward to seeing the next few matches next week.
Absolutely, yeah, and kind of forgot to mention, thank you very much to both teams, Idiots and Please Love, for participating in this tournament, and, you know, making some excellent matches for us to cast, so, you know, it's always fun to have these kinds of matches, and, you know, especially in these higher ranks, good to see that there is still a competitive scene alive, and that people are interested in that kind of stuff, so very, very satisfying to have that in us, so, yeah. Awesome. But with that, I'll go ahead. Don't have much to add, Pyro. Alright, yeah, thank you very much to those in chat who doesn't have much to add. But, yeah. So, kill cam is almost up, and I'll go ahead and talk about kind of what's happening next week. So, next week, we're going to be having, I believe the final of the losers brackets is what it's technically called. Basically, it's going to be the winners of this match versus... I don't know what they are in terms of the tournament, but it's going to be Boys R Us, the team that is going to be going up against them. So if I go ahead and go to my OBS and transition over here, it's okay. It's not supposed to say winner there. So let me go ahead and change that.
Oh, the joys of streaming.
Yes, there we go. No one noticed that. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Absolutely.
But there we go. It's going to be the Rumble Championship Cup. We'll see you next week, this Saturday, about the same time, I believe. So it's going to be Boys R Us versus Please Love. A couple of notes as well, that we do have the Scolder Showdown coming up as well. Details on that will be posted in the Rumble Discord. I hopefully will be participating myself. So if you would like to see my whatever plays, you can maybe tune into that. So, Roachcake, where can we find you, Roachcake? Hello?
Huh?
Sorry, oh my god, I was reading the chat and I totally meant to... Oh,
yeah,
Jesus.
Yeah, no problem.
Dusty. I was like totally staring at you and was like, what's going on? Dusty, where can we find you?
No problem. People can find me at twitch.tv/Dusty_90. I'll probably be streaming some Awesomenauts later, I don't know. But that is basically where people can find me.
All right.
And how about yourself?
I myself, I can be found at twitch.tv/pyrocheese. I stream there fairly often, fairly regularly. Those of you in chat may or may not recognize me at this point, but we'll see how it goes on. But with that, we're going to close out the stream. Thank you everyone for watching, and we will see you next time.
Adios.